My name is Emily Carter, and I'm about to tell you the story of the day that should have been the happiest of my life, but instead became the moment I finally understood what my family really thought of me. If you've ever been humiliated by the people who were supposed to love you most, stay with me, because what happened next changed everything. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe and comment where you're watching from. Trust me, you'll want to see how this ends. It was May 15th, 2023. After 7 long years of night classes, weekend study sessions, and working 3 jobs simultaneously, I was finally graduating from law school. I was 28 years old, and this wasn't just a graduation. It was proof that I had survived. Proof that every sacrifice, every sleepless night, every moment I chose textbooks over social life had been worth it. I remember standing in my small apartment that morning, looking at my graduation gown hanging on the closet door. The early sunlight made it look almost golden. My hands were shaking as I touched the fabric. This was real. I had actually done it. Me, Emily Carter, the girl everyone said was too soft, too naive, too giving, had earned a law degree while supporting not just myself, but my older sister Linda and her teenage son Brandon. My phone buzzed. It was my mother, Margaret. "Emily, honey, what time should we arrive at the ceremony? Linda wants to know if Brandon can bring his friend Tyler. You know how he gets anxious in crowds." I felt that familiar tightness in my chest, the one I always got when my mother asked for something that wasn't really a question. It was a command wrapped in maternal concern. "Mom, the ceremony starts at 2. The reception is at 4. I rented a small space at the community center. It's intimate, just close friends and a few professors." There was a pause on the other end. Then her voice came back, slightly sharper. "Intimate? Emily, we're your family. Surely you have room for Brandon's friend. The boy has been through so much with the divorce." I wanted to say that I had been through so much too, that I had paid Linda's rent for the past 3 years while she found herself after her divorce, that I had bought Brandon's school supplies, his clothes, even his phone, while working as a paralegal by day, a waitress 3 nights a week, and tutoring on weekends. But I didn't say any of that. I never did. "Of course, Mom. Brandon can bring Tyler." The words came out automatically, like they always did. After I hung up, I sat on my bed and looked around my tiny studio apartment. 1 room, a bathroom the size of a closet, furniture from thrift stores. But it was mine. And today, I was celebrating something that was entirely mine. My achievement. My victory. I had ordered a special cake from the best bakery in town. It cost $200, money I had been saving for months. The cake was 3 tiers, decorated with edible gold leaf and topped with a tiny fondant graduation cap. When I picked it up that morning, the baker smiled at me and said, "Whoever this is for must be very special." I looked at that beautiful cake and whispered, "It's for me. I'm celebrating myself." The graduation ceremony was beautiful. When they called my name, Emily Marie Carter, and I walked across that stage to receive my diploma, I heard cheering from the audience. My mother was there, dabbing her eyes with a tissue. Linda was filming on her phone. Brandon was slouched in his seat playing a game on his phone, barely looking up. But I didn't care in that moment. I had done it. I was a lawyer. After the ceremony, everyone headed to the community center for the reception. I had decorated it myself the night before. Simple white tablecloths, small flower arrangements, and in the center of the main table, a space reserved for my graduation cake. My favorite professor, Dr. Helen Morrison, arrived early and gave me a warm hug. "Emily, I've taught thousands of students, but very few with your determination. You should be incredibly proud." Her words made tears spring to my eyes. "Thank you, Dr. Morrison. That means everything to me." Other guests began arriving. Colleagues from the law firm where I worked as a paralegal, friends from my study group, the owner of the restaurant where I waitressed, who had given me so many flexible shifts over the years. They were all there because they genuinely wanted to celebrate me. My mother arrived with Linda and Brandon. My sister was wearing a tight dress that was far too flashy for the occasion, her makeup heavy, her perfume overwhelming. Brandon was in ripped jeans and a gaming t-shirt. I had asked him to dress nicely. Clearly that request had been ignored. Tyler, his friend, was dressed the same way. They immediately headed to the snack table, piling food onto plates while talking loudly about some video game. My mother came over and kissed my cheek. "Congratulations, sweetheart. Though I still don't understand why you needed to go to law school. You were doing fine as a paralegal." The comment stung, but I smiled. "I wanted more, Mom. I wanted to build a real career." She patted my arm in that way that felt more dismissive than supportive. "Well, I hope all those student loans were worth it." I didn't tell her that I had worked so hard specifically to avoid student loans, that every dollar I earned went either to tuition or to supporting her and Linda, that I had nothing saved because I had given everything to keep our family afloat. Linda wandered over, champagne glass already in hand. Nice party, Em. Though honestly, I thought there'd be more people. This feels kind of sad. Her words were casual, thoughtless, but they cut deep. I invited the people who matter, I said quietly. She shrugged. If you say so. Oh, by the way, Brandon needs new sneakers. Those limited edition ones. They're like $300. Can you Venmo me the money tomorrow? My jaw tightened. Linda, I just spent everything I had on graduating and this party. I can't afford $300 sneakers right now. Her eyes narrowed. Really, Emily? After everything Mom and I have done for you? We're here celebrating your little achievement and you can't help out your nephew? That's pretty selfish. I felt heat rise in my face. My little achievement. 7 years of my life dismissed as little, but I swallowed the anger. I'll see what I can do. Linda smiled and walked away to refill her champagne glass. I stood there, feeling small and tired despite wearing my graduation gown. Dr. Morrison approached with a gentle smile. Everything okay, Emily? I forced brightness into my voice. Everything's perfect. But it wasn't. And it was about to get so much worse. The time came to cut the cake. Everyone gathered around the main table. My beautiful, expensive, carefully chosen cake sat there like a symbol of everything I had worked for. The bakery had delivered it perfectly. The gold leaf caught the light. The fondant graduation cap on top looked exactly like the one I had worn just hours before. I picked up the knife, feeling emotional. This was my moment, my celebration, my acknowledgement that I had done something incredible, despite everything. Dr. Morrison started a small speech. I'd like to say a few words about Emily. In my 30 years of teaching, I have rarely seen such dedication. That's when Brandon appeared. He had been across the room with Tyler just seconds before, but suddenly he was right next to me. Too close. I could smell energy drinks on his breath. His eyes had that cruel glint I had seen too many times before, the one that appeared whenever he wanted attention or felt the need to assert dominance. Before I could react, before anyone could stop him, Brandon reached out and grabbed my cake. Not a slice, the entire cake. His hands sank into the soft frosting and delicate tears. And then, with a smile that made my blood run cold, he lifted it up and threw it on the floor. The sound of it hitting the ground seemed impossibly loud. Frosting splattered across the white tablecloth. The beautiful tears collapsed into a pile of ruined fondant and cake. The tiny graduation cap rolled across the floor and stopped at my feet. The room went completely silent. Everyone stared in shock. I stood frozen, the cake knife still in my hand, unable to process what had just happened. Brandon looked at me with that same cruel smile and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, Aunt Emily always talks about hard work and earning things, right? Well, here's your chance to prove it. Eat it from the floor. Show everyone how humble you really are. The silence that followed was suffocating. I felt every eye in the room on me. My hands started to shake. This was my graduation party, my celebration. And my 16-year-old nephew had just destroyed it in front of everyone who mattered to me. I waited for someone to say something, to defend me, to tell Brandon that what he did was unacceptable. Instead, Linda laughed. It wasn't a nervous laugh or an uncomfortable giggle. It was genuine amusement. She actually found this funny. Oh my God, Brandon, you're terrible, she said, but she was smiling. Smiling like her son had just told a hilarious joke instead of humiliating me in front of 40 people. I turned to my mother, desperate for her to intervene, to be a mother, to protect me the way she always protected Linda and Brandon. But Margaret just sighed and waved her hand dismissively. Emily, don't be so dramatic. It's just a cake. Brandon is young. He's just playing around. You know how teenage boys are. Just a cake. Just playing around. I looked down at the destroyed remains of my $200 cake, the cake I had saved for months to afford, the cake that was supposed to be the centerpiece of my celebration. And I realized something that should have been obvious years ago. To them, I wasn't a person with feelings. I was a resource to be used. An ATM machine that occasionally needed to be reminded of her place. Dr. Morrison stepped forward, her face flushed with anger. That was completely inappropriate. Young man, you need to apologize immediately. But Brandon just shrugged. It's just a joke. Aunt Emily knows I'm kidding. Right, Aunt Emily? All eyes turned back to me, waiting for me to laugh it off, to minimize my own humiliation, to make everyone comfortable by pretending this didn't hurt. Something inside me broke in that moment. Not loudly, not dramatically, but completely. It was like a wire that had been stretched too tight for too long finally snapped. I looked at Brandon, at Linda, still smiling, at my mother, looking annoyed that I was making a scene, at the cake on the floor, at the guests who had come to celebrate me now witnessing my degradation, and I made a choice. Not the choice they expected. I didn't yell, I didn't cry, I didn't pick up the cake or demand an apology. Instead, I carefully set down the cake knife. I picked up my purse from the nearby chair. I looked at Dr. Morrison and said, "Thank you for coming. Thank you for believing in me." Then I walked toward the door. My mother called after me. "Emily, where are you going? Don't be ridiculous. Come back here." I turned to look at her one last time. "I'm going home, Mom. Enjoy the party." And then I left. I walked out of my own graduation reception, still wearing my gown, leaving behind the destroyed cake, and the family that had just shown me exactly what I meant to them. As I drove home, I didn't cry. I felt strangely calm, clear, like fog had lifted from my mind and I could finally see everything with brutal clarity. When I got back to my apartment, I sat down at my small desk and opened my laptop. I looked at my bank accounts. I looked at all the automatic payments I had set up. Linda's rent, paid directly from my account every month. The credit card in my name that Brandon used freely. The joint account with my mother where I deposited money every 2 weeks for emergencies that somehow always came up. I had been supporting them for years while barely surviving myself. And what had it gotten me? Humiliation? Disrespect? The assumption that I would always be there, always give, always forgive. Well, that ended tonight. I started clicking. Cancel, cancel, cancel. Linda's rent, gone. Brandon's credit card, closed. The joint account with my mother, drained and shut down. Every financial tie I had to them, severed in less than 20 minutes. My phone started ringing immediately. First Linda, then my mother, then Linda again. I ignored every call. I turned off my phone and sat in the silence of my tiny apartment, finally feeling like I could breathe. For the first time in 7 years, I had chosen myself, and it felt terrifying and liberating all at once. The next morning, I woke up to 47 missed calls and 83 text messages. I made myself coffee and read through them slowly. Linda's messages started angry, then became panicked. "What the hell, Emily? My rent didn't go through. Fix this now." Then an hour later, Seriously, I'm going to get evicted. This isn't funny." By midnight, her tone had changed completely. "Please, Emily, I don't understand what's happening. We're family. I need your help." My mother's messages followed a similar pattern. Anger first. "Emily Marie Carter, you will explain yourself immediately. How dare you cancel that account?" Then confusion. "I don't understand why you're doing this. What did we do to deserve this treatment?" Finally, false warmth. "Sweetheart, I know you're upset about the cake incident, but Brandon is just a child. He didn't mean any harm. Let's talk about this like adults." Brandon had sent exactly 3 messages. "WTF, Aunt M, my card doesn't work," and "This is bullshit." Not a single apology. Not a single acknowledgement of what he had done. I finished my coffee and got ready for my first day at my new job. Yes, I had accepted a position at a prestigious law firm starting the Monday after graduation. Nobody in my family knew because nobody had ever asked. They assumed I would just continue being a paralegal, continuing to fund their lifestyles, continuing to accept whatever treatment they deemed appropriate. I dressed in my new suit, the one I had bought at a consignment shop but had tailored to fit perfectly. I looked at myself in the mirror and barely recognized the woman looking back. She looked strong, determined, free. At the law firm, I threw myself into work. My supervising attorney was impressed by my dedication and knowledge. "Emily, you have real talent. I can see you making partner here someday if you keep this up." Partner. The word filled me with warmth. This was what I had worked for. This was why I had sacrificed so much. My phone continued to ring throughout the day, but I had turned off notifications. During my lunch break, I finally listened to a voicemail from my mother. Her voice was shaking, but it wasn't from sadness. It was rage. "Emily, I don't know what kind of breakdown you're having, but this ends now. Linda is about to be evicted. Brandon needs things for school. You can't just abandon your family because your feelings got hurt over a stupid cake. Call me back immediately." A stupid cake. Even now, she couldn't understand. Or wouldn't. I deleted the voicemail and went back to work. That evening, there was a knock on my apartment door. Loud, insistent pounding. "Emily, open this door right now!" It was Linda's voice. I looked through the peephole and saw her standing there, makeup smudged, hair messy, looking more disheveled than I had ever seen her. I debated not answering. But I knew this confrontation was inevitable. I opened the door but didn't invite her in. "What do you want, Linda?" She stared at me like I had grown a second head. "What do I want? I want to know what the hell is wrong with you. My landlord is threatening to evict me. Brandon's credit card was declined at the mall. Mom's furious. You can't just cut us off like this." I leaned against the doorframe, feeling strangely calm. "Actually, I can." And I did. Her mouth opened and closed like a fish. But we're family. You can't just stop helping your own family." I smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Help implies that what I was doing was voluntary, that it was appreciated, that I was respected for it. What I was doing wasn't help, Linda. It was enabling. And it stops now. "Enabling?" She laughed harshly. "You sound like some self-help book. This is ridiculous, so Brandon made a stupid joke with your cake. So what? You're really going to destroy your family over dessert?" I felt anger flash through me for the first time. "It wasn't about the cake, Linda. It was about the fact that your son humiliated me at my own graduation party, and you laughed. You thought it was funny. Mom told me not to be dramatic. None of you apologized. None of you even acknowledged that what happened was wrong." Linda rolled her eyes. "Oh my God, Emily. Always so sensitive. Always making everything about you. Fine. I'm sorry about the cake thing. Happy now? Can you restore Brandon's credit card?" I shook my head slowly. "No." The words seemed to shock her. "No? What do you mean, no?" "I mean that I'm done, Linda. I'm done paying your rent. I'm done funding Brandon's lifestyle. I'm done being treated like an ATM machine that occasionally needs to be humiliated to keep me humble." "You can't do this," she whispered, and for the first time I saw real fear in her eyes. "How am I supposed to pay rent? How is Brandon supposed to get the things he needs?" I looked at her, this woman who had been given everything our entire lives while I worked for scraps. The same way I did, Linda. You get a job, you budget, you make sacrifices, you figure it out like an adult. She stepped closer, her voice dropping to something almost threatening. "If you do this, Mom will never forgive you. The whole family will turn against you. Is that what you want? To be alone?" I met her gaze steadily. If being alone means having dignity and self-respect, then yes, that's exactly what I want. For a moment, she just stared at me. Then she turned and walked away, her footsteps echoing in the hallway. I closed the door and locked it, and for the first time in days, I smiled. Over the next 3 weeks, the messages continued. My mother tried everything. Guilt trips about how ungrateful I was after everything she had sacrificed for me. Threats about cutting me out of the family. Bargaining, promising things would be different if I just restored the financial support. When none of that worked, she tried sending other family members. My aunt called. "Emily, honey, your mother is beside herself with worry. Whatever happened, surely you can work it out." "Aunt Carol, did Mom tell you what Brandon did at my graduation?" There was a pause. "Well, she mentioned some incident with a cake, but boys will be boys, you know. Brandon is going through a difficult phase." I hung up on her. Difficult phase. As if cruelty and entitlement were just adolescent growing pains. My cousin texted, "Hey, Em, heard there's some family drama. Want to grab coffee and talk?" I ignored it. I knew how this worked. They weren't reaching out because they cared about me. They were reaching out because my mother had recruited them to her side. At work, I excelled. My cases were strong. My research was thorough. My senior partner pulled me aside one day. "Emily, I want you to take the lead on the Morrison case. It's high profile and I think you're ready." This was huge. The Morrison case could make my career. "Thank you, sir. I won't let you down." He smiled. "I know you won't. You remind me of myself at your age. Hungry, talented, and willing to do what it takes." That weekend, I went to my favorite coffee shop, the one where I used to study for hours during law school. The barista recognized me. "Hey, haven't seen you in a while. How's the studying going?" I grinned. "I graduated. I'm a lawyer now." Her face lit up. "That's amazing. Your usual coffee is on me. Congratulations." This stranger was happier for my success than my own family had been. As I sat with my free coffee, my phone rang. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Hello? Emily." It was my mother's voice, but different. Harder. Colder. "We need to talk." "I don't think we do, Mom. Your sister is being evicted next week. Brandon has to drop out of his private school. This is what you want? To destroy your family?" I took a deep breath. "I'm not destroying anything, Mom. I'm just no longer funding it. You selfish, ungrateful girl. After everything I did, raising you, loving you, this is how you repay me?" Her words should have hurt. A month ago, they would have destroyed me. But now, I felt nothing. Mom, you didn't raise me to be independent. You raised me to be convenient. There's a difference. How dare you? I interrupted her, something I had never done before. Did you call to apologize for what happened at my graduation? Silence. Then, what? Did you call to say you're sorry that Brandon humiliated me and you defended him? Did you call to acknowledge that I've spent years supporting all of you while getting nothing but disrespect in return? Or did you call to demand more money? More silence. Finally, I called because your family needs you. Then my family should have treated me better. I hung up before she could respond. My hands were shaking, but it was from adrenaline, not fear. I had just hung up on my mother, the woman who had controlled me through guilt and obligation my entire life, and I felt powerful. That night, I treated myself to dinner at a nice restaurant. Not expensive, but nicer than anywhere I had been in years. I ordered wine. I ordered dessert. I sat alone at my table and felt more content than I had at my own graduation party surrounded by people. A woman at the next table leaned over. I'm sorry to bother you, but I couldn't help noticing you're dining alone. Is everything all right? I looked at her kind face and smiled. Everything is perfect. I'm celebrating. Oh, what's the occasion? Freedom, I said. And I meant it. She raised her wine glass toward me. Then here's to freedom. Whatever that means for you. We clinked glasses, and I felt tears prick my eyes. Kindness from strangers meant more than obligation from family. Monday morning, I arrived at work to find flowers on my desk. The card read, "Congratulations on your graduation, from all of us at Morrison and Associates." My senior partner had remembered. He had actually cared enough to acknowledge my achievement, even though the ceremony had been 3 weeks ago, when my actual family couldn't even make it through the party without destroying it. I threw myself into the Morrison case. It was complex, involving corporate fraud and financial manipulation. As I reviewed documents, I noticed something that made me pause. One of the subsidiary companies involved had transactions that looked familiar. Very familiar. I dug deeper and felt my blood run cold. Linda's ex-husband worked for this company. Not a coincidence. Suddenly, things started making sense. I spent the entire night investigating, cross-referencing documents and transactions. By dawn, I had uncovered something significant. Linda's ex-husband had been involved in the fraud scheme, and Linda had likely known about it. The divorce settlement she had received, the one she claimed barely covered anything, had actually been substantial. She had money. She had always had money. She just preferred spending mine. I sat back in my chair, feeling something between rage and vindication. All these years, she had played poor. Claimed she couldn't work because she was too traumatized from the divorce. Made me feel guilty for having a steady income while she struggled. And it had all been a lie. She was hiding assets and living off my generosity because it was easier than spending her own money. I made copies of everything, knowing I couldn't use it in the case due to conflict of interest, but needing the evidence for myself. Then I called my senior partner and explained the situation. I have a conflict. I need to recuse myself from this case. He was disappointed but understood. Family connections are always complicated. I appreciate your integrity in recognizing the conflict. That evening, Linda showed up at my apartment again. This time she looked different. Defeated. Tired. Almost human. Emily, please, I need to talk to you. I almost didn't let her in, but curiosity won out. 5 minutes. She sat on my couch, hunched over, her expensive purse clutched in her lap. I'm sorry about the graduation thing. Really sorry. Brandon has apologized too. He wants to talk to you. No, he doesn't, I said flatly. If he wanted to apologize, he could have texted, called, or shown up himself. You're here because you need money, Linda. Let's not pretend this is about anything else. Her face crumpled. I don't know what to do. The eviction is next week. I can't afford first month, last month, and security deposit for a new place. I pulled out my phone and opened the documents I had found. How much did you get in the divorce settlement, Linda? Her face went pale. That's none of your business. I showed her the screen. According to these financial records, you received $340,000. Where did that money go? She looked away. I had expenses. Brandon's school, my car, living costs. Your car is 7 years old. Brandon goes to public school. Living costs for 3 years wouldn't burn through $350,000 unless you were being wildly irresponsible. Where is the money? She started crying. Real tears this time, not manipulative ones. I invested it. A friend had this opportunity. Cryptocurrency. He promised triple returns. It was supposed to be safe. I closed my eyes. You gambled away $340,000 on cryptocurrency and didn't tell anyone. I thought I'd make money. I thought I could surprise everyone by being successful. So instead of being honest, you let me support you financially while you lied about having nothing? She looked up at me, mascara running down her face. I was ashamed. And then it became easier to just let you help. You never asked questions. You just gave and gave. How was I supposed to tell you the truth? I stood up. You were supposed to tell me by being a decent human being. You were supposed to tell me before I worked myself to exhaustion keeping you afloat. You were supposed to tell me instead of watching your son humiliate me at my graduation while you laughed. I know, she whispered. I know I messed up. But Emily, we're sisters. Doesn't that count for something? I walked to the door and opened it. It used to. But you taught me that blood doesn't mean anything if there's no respect, no honesty, no basic human decency. Your 5 minutes are up. She stood, wiping her eyes. So that's it? You're just done with me? With all of us? I met her gaze. I'm not done with you, Linda. I'm done being used by you. There's a difference. After she left, I sat in the silence of my apartment and cried. Not because I regretted my decision, but because mourning the family I thought I had was necessary before I could fully embrace the life I was building. The next day, my mother showed up. She didn't knock. She used the emergency key I had given her years ago. I came out of my bedroom to find her standing in my living room, her face hard as stone. We need to have a serious conversation, Emily. I walked past her to make coffee. You broke into my apartment, Mom. That's not how serious conversations start. I used the key you gave me. For emergencies. This isn't an emergency. She slammed her hand on the counter. Your sister is being evicted. Your nephew can't afford basic necessities. How is that not an emergency? I poured my coffee calmly. Those are their emergencies, not mine. Linda gambled away over $300,000. Brandon has a mother who should be providing for him. Their problems are not my responsibility. My mother's face flushed red. How did you? Linda told you? I found out myself. Which brings up an interesting question. Did you know? Her silence was answer enough. You knew. I felt something cold settle in my chest. You knew she had money, and you still let me support her. You still made me feel guilty for having boundaries. You chose her lies over my well-being. She's my daughter too, Emily. She made mistakes. Was I supposed to expose her and humiliate her? Yes. The word came out louder than I intended. Yes, Mom. You were supposed to tell me the truth. You were supposed to protect me from being exploited. But you didn't. You never do. Because in this family, I'm not the daughter who needs protection. I'm the resource that needs to be managed. That's not fair. I laughed bitterly. Fair? You want to talk about fair? Was it fair when Brandon destroyed my graduation cake and you told me not to be dramatic? Was it fair when I worked 3 jobs to put myself through law school while sending you money every month? Was it fair that Linda had hundreds of thousands of dollars hidden away while I ate ramen and wore secondhand clothes? My mother's eyes filled with tears. I gave you everything growing up. No, I said quietly. You gave Linda everything growing up. You gave her your attention, your approval, your unconditional support. You gave me expectations and obligations. There's a difference. So this is it? You're cutting us all off? Being cruel just to punish us? I set down my coffee cup. I'm not being cruel, Mom. I'm being healthy. There's a difference. And yes, I'm done. Done being taken for granted. Done being humiliated. Done setting myself on fire to keep all of you warm. She stood there, tears streaming down her face. For a moment, I almost wavered. Almost felt guilty. Almost fell back into the pattern of putting everyone else's feelings before my own. But then I remembered that cake on the floor. Remembered Brandon's cruel smile. Remembered Linda's laugh. And I stayed strong. Please leave, Mom. And leave the key on the table. She placed the key down slowly, like it hurt her physically. You're going to regret this. Maybe, I said. But at least I'll regret it while respecting myself. She left without another word. I picked up the key and held it for a long time, thinking about everything it represented. Then I threw it in the trash. That weekend, I received a letter. Hand-delivered, thick paper, official-looking. My heart sank, thinking it might be legal action from my family. Instead, it was from Dr. Morrison. Dear Emily, I wanted to reach out after the unfortunate incident at your graduation reception. I've been thinking about you and hoping you're well. Your dedication and integrity throughout law school were remarkable, and I wanted you to know that your achievements matter, regardless of how others chose to treat them. I also wanted to tell you something I should have said sooner. The scholarship committee selected you for the Outstanding Graduate Award, which comes with a $10,000 prize. The ceremony is next month. I hope you'll attend. You earned this. Warmly, Dr. Helen Morrison. I read the letter 3 times, tears streaming down my face. $10,000, recognition for my work, validation that my efforts had mattered. I immediately called Dr. Morrison. Dr. Morrison, I just received your letter. Emily, I'm so glad. I wasn't sure if you'd want to attend after what happened, but you deserve this recognition. I'll be there. And Dr. Morrison, thank you for seeing me when my own family couldn't. Her voice was warm. Talent recognizes talent, Emily, and you are exceptionally talented. The award ceremony was small, intimate, held in the university's faculty lounge. About 30 people attended, mostly professors and a few distinguished alumni. When Dr. Morrison presented me with the award and the check, she spoke about my journey. Emily Carter represents the best of what education can achieve. She worked multiple jobs, overcame significant personal challenges, and maintained perfect grades throughout her 7 years of study. She is proof that dedication and integrity matter more than circumstances. The room applauded, and for the first time, I felt truly celebrated. Not despite my struggles, but including them. After the ceremony, several professors approached me with job opportunities and networking contacts. One even mentioned a mentorship program for first-year lawyers. My career was taking off in ways I never imagined. As I drove home that night, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered cautiously. Hello? Emily, it's Brandon. I almost hung up immediately. What do you want? His voice sounded different, smaller. I wanted to apologize. For real this time. What I did at your graduation was messed up. I know saying sorry doesn't fix it, but I am sorry. I was showing off for Tyler, and I didn't think about how it would make you feel. I pulled over, needing to focus on this conversation. Why now, Brandon? Why are you calling 3 months later? Because Mom's been crying every day, and Grandma keeps saying you've abandoned us. And I started thinking about all the stuff you did for me. The shoes you bought, the phone, helping with my school projects. You were always there, and I was a jerk. I'm really sorry. His apology sounded genuine, but I'd learned that genuine feelings don't erase genuine consequences. I appreciate you calling, Brandon. I do, but an apology doesn't mean everything goes back to how it was. I know. I don't expect money or anything. I just wanted you to know that I know I messed up, and I'm sorry. After we hung up, I sat in my car for a long time. Forgiveness is complicated. Brandon was 16, still learning how actions have consequences. But forgiving him didn't mean restoring the financial support. It didn't mean going back to being the family ATM. It meant acknowledging his apology while maintaining my boundaries. And that was okay. 6 months after my graduation, I was promoted to junior associate at the firm. My salary tripled. I moved into a better apartment, one with an actual bedroom and a kitchen big enough to cook in. I started therapy to work through years of being conditioned to put everyone else first. And I began building friendships based on mutual respect, rather than obligation. One evening, I received a Facebook message from Linda. Not asking for money, not demanding anything. Just, I got a job, real estate sales. I'm not good at it yet, but I'm trying. Thought you should know. I stared at that message for a long time before responding. I'm proud of you. Keep trying. It wasn't reconciliation, but it was acknowledgement that maybe, possibly, she was beginning to understand. My mother never apologized. She told other family members I had abandoned them in their time of need, that I was selfish and cold. Some believed her. Others reached out quietly to tell me they understood why I'd made the choices I did. I learned that not everyone will see your side. Not everyone will understand why you choose yourself. And that's okay. Their understanding isn't required for your healing. A year after that terrible graduation day, I was sitting in my new apartment working on a major case when my doorbell rang. I opened it to find a delivery person holding a box. Emily Carter? Yes? This is for you. I brought the box inside and opened it carefully. Inside was a simple cake, single layer, chocolate with vanilla frosting, and a card that read, to celebrating the victories no one else saw, to standing up when it would have been easier to stay down, to knowing your worth even when others tried to diminish it. Here's to you, Emily, from someone who believes in second chances and first choices. It was signed by Brandon. I called him immediately. Did you send me a cake? He laughed, sounding more mature than the boy who had destroyed my graduation. Yeah, I've been working part-time to save up for it. Took me 3 months. I know it doesn't fix what I did, but I wanted you to have a graduation cake, one that nobody can ruin. Tears rolled down my face. Thank you, Brandon. This means more than you know. You taught me something, Aunt Emily. You taught me that respect isn't automatic just because someone's family, that you have to earn it, and that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away. I'm trying to be better. I know I can't undo what I did, but I'm trying. After I hung up, I cut into that simple chocolate cake and ate a slice. It was delicious. Not because of the fancy frosting or expensive ingredients, but because it represented something valuable. It represented someone learning, growing, trying to make amends not by asking me to forget, but by acknowledging what happened and doing better. That's all I had ever wanted. Not perfection, just basic respect and acknowledgement. Today, 3 years after my graduation, I'm a senior associate at my firm. I'm being considered for partner. I bought my first house. I have a small circle of true friends. I date occasionally, though I'm learning to recognize red flags early, patterns of people who want to use me rather than know me. My relationship with my family is complicated. Brandon and I talk occasionally. He's in college now, working part-time to pay for it. I respect his effort. Linda and I have a cordial but distant relationship. She's still in real estate and apparently doing better. We exchange birthday messages and occasional updates, but the closeness we once had is gone. Maybe someday it will rebuild into something healthier. Or maybe it won't. Either way, I'm okay. My mother and I don't speak. She's made it clear she considers my boundaries a betrayal. I've made peace with the fact that I can't make her understand. Sometimes the people who raised you can't recognize who you've become. And that's their loss, not yours. If you're watching this and you've ever felt taken for granted by your family, let me tell you something important. You are not selfish for having boundaries. You are not cruel for choosing yourself. You are not obligated to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. The people who truly love you will respect your limits. They will celebrate your victories without trying to destroy them. And if they don't, then maybe they love the idea of you, the convenient, compliant version, but not the real you. Walking away from that graduation reception was the hardest thing I've ever done, but staying would have destroyed me. I chose dignity over familiarity, self-respect over false peace, freedom over obligation, and I would make the same choice again, because I finally learned the most important lesson. You teach people how to treat you. And I was done teaching my family that I was acceptable to discard. If this story resonated with you, subscribe to the channel and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Comment below where you're watching from and if you've ever had to make a difficult choice between family and self-respect. Sometimes the best revenge isn't dramatic. It's simply living well. It's finding peace. It's becoming the person you were always meant to be when you're no longer being held back by people who claim to love you but never respected you. My name is Emily Carter. I'm a lawyer, I'm a survivor, and I'm finally free. That's my story. From the floor where my cake was thrown to the life I built from choosing myself. Thank you for listening.